Hello everyone, welcome back to the online webinar series on the topic navigating funding options for startups. We are so delighted to welcome back our guest, Mr. Devansh. Welcome back, Devansh. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Radhika, for having me here. Uh, doing good after a good weekend. You know, was
Yeah,
not well the weekend, but now recovered and doing better. Thank you.
okay, great, good to hear that. So I think we can move further with the questions in our series on navigating funding and the
Yeah,
age-old
yeah.
questions for entrepreneurs regarding bootstrapping. So the
Okay.
question is, what are some potential challenges or risk associated with bootstrapping? Like, how can a founder mitigate them?
So, potential challenges and risks, as a founder are many. Uh, I think being a founder itself is a big risk, rather than rather than having it as a reward or, people view from the outside as okay, by if he's an entrepreneur or a founder, there must be something fancy, wearing fancy clothes, driving a fancy car and everything. But I think those all things are not there. So rewards don't come in. It's always the risks that creep in immediately as you attach the tag founder or an entrepreneur. So everything that you do is a risk. I think every single decision you take in a company from the time you start it, from the name that you take, from the name that you put till the time that name goes off air or off the thing, every step is a risk. But if I were to tell you, maybe one, two very important challenges which entrepreneurs face, I think number one is hiring. Hiring is a big challenge and a big,
Yeah.
risk, I would say, which entrepreneurs need to take, and they do take, of course. But many entrepreneurs fail to take that risk, thinking that everything can be done by themselves on their own. But people who take that challenge, hiring is a very crucial element of a startup. As a founder, as an entrepreneur, it's important to hire the right person at the right time, uh, for the right role and with the right skill sets. I think all these rights need to be ticked off so that that position is covered in a good manner and the company can, really take off from there, right? The startup can take off. So, I think that's one challenge. The other challenge is to also retain the talent, retain the right person, right? Uh, and to get him to do the good quality work. Now, for example, I'm working, with a company right now, with a startup right now, which is into advertisement tech startup.
Okay.
So I'm a virtual CFO slash an advisor there. My role is to basically help streamline all the businesses, the process, and also to take them to investors after a few months once we do all those things in line in order. My role is to take do those particular activities for that startup very well. What I've been noticing after talking to their employees is that most of the employees are inefficient. The expertise that they have, the leader probably is not even aware, the founder is not even aware, and that employee is doing some other work only जो उसका expertise है भी नहीं, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that is where I have been sitting down with the founder also, who's the captain of the ship, and trying to tell him that as a leader, it's your responsibility. You need to sit down with them and make sure that these things are happening properly, right? So otherwise, people are going to leave, or you will have to chuck them out because you have wasted so much money on so many people without even understanding the strengths or weakness. They'll leave you, or you will leave them. So retention is a big challenge, and within that, to understand each and every employee's strengths, weaknesses, making sure that they are doing the right thing, making sure they're enjoying what they're doing, making sure they're being monetized for that, incentivized for that. All those things comes in the retention part,
Okay.
right? So that is where I feel number one is hiring, number two is retention. I think if these two things can really take place in a good manner for a startup, at least that initial core, probably 25, 30 people group, then it can really kick off in a good manner.
Devansh, I must say that you have made some relevant point here. But when we talk about bootstrapping, like founders when they just start of their business, they think that in mind, ki let's do everything by myself and I can give it a try. So that's a very important point you made about the hiring part because everybody cannot be specialized in everything. So yeah.
Hmm.
So any other pointers you would like to give on the
I
risk involved or the yeah, sorry.
I think these two are very important points, is what I feel.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
only way to mitigate them is by way of trying, failing, trying, failing, trying, failing, and succeeding. So that's the only way you can mitigate it. You cannot copy paste someone else's hiring and retention model in your business. You
correct.
cannot take any idea. Yes, you can take some experience out of them. You can take some know-how, knowledge, how he handled the situation, right? The soft skills can be trained, but or can be learnt from someone else's story, right? But at the end of the day, you will have to do it for your own company and see whether it's working or not. The same
Correct.
strategy will not work, for two companies in terms of hiring and in terms of retaining. So I feel the only way to mitigate is by doing it practically. Otherwise there's no other way. It's just otherwise talking in thin air. Every
Oh,
founder goes through that same ride of hiring the wrong person, failing, hiring the wrong person,
yeah.
spending time, money on him or
Then
her,
it's just a loop.
again failing. So that loop is going to be a part and parcel of every startup's journey.
Correct.
But that's the only way. You can't. There is no shortcut to it.
So can you say like, are there any common pitfalls to avoid? So any pitfalls we can say like a founder can avoid on a bootstrapping stage?
What I at least so at least while hiring, if this question is more in regards to hiring, at least while hiring, some of the questions or some of the pointers that we look at is basically the attitude and the culture of that the prospect. We also look at why he wants to join LFS, like what's his reason behind joining LFS, right? What has motivated him to join about LFS? What does he know about us that has got him the driving factor to join us, right?
Okay.
So
Mhm.
if these answers do not match really what it should be, then it is something, then we can reconsider that person. Even though he's a good person, we'll reconsider because we know that he can be a short term person only. या तो उसको जरूरत है इसलिए वो आ रहा है. It is not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something जहाँ पे दोनों का मैच हो रहा है, right? So it is going to be like that. So we look at these small things, his confidence, the way he can talk, um, whether he is respectful towards people who are more experienced than him. I look at those kind of factors very importantly, because pata chalta hai then how will that person communicate if he's put in a situation with a senior or with an elder,
Yeah,
right? So that is
correct.
something that we look very strongly. And so those are like, there are 4 5 things very minutely. Again, everyone has a different thumb rule, but integrity, intelligence, integrity, I think these are again certain other aspects that one can look at
Yeah,
basically.
got it. So like as you mentioned that being a founder and you just establish your own company. So, and you even mentioned few pointers which a person can keep in mind while building a team. So I just look up to some of the more like your guidance or on building and managing a team, especially while bootstrapping. Like in the scenario of bootstrapping, not I'm not talking about the a person who like a founder who received the funding, but at the stage of bootstrapping, like what are the small steps or like any pointer which you would like to give on managing a team and building a team actually.
See, while bootstrapping, I think while managing and building a team, I think it is important the moment you cross 10 people, you must get the moment you cross probably 8 9 people, you must get an HR resource, a human resource manager or an associate who comes with a fair bit of experience of managing people, of understanding people, being that bridge between the founder and the people. Bridge in the sense, not in terms of communication, but
Yeah.
just in terms of, more deeper stuffs regarding people, right?
Got it.
More deeper stuffs regarding people. So I think that's where an HR can come into the picture. So that's one thing that we had also done.
Okay.
The moment we reached 7, 8 people, we hired an HR so that a lot of things regarding people and related to people can get streamlined from now on before we touch 20 people. I didn't
Right.
want that to happen when we were 20 people. I wanted to happen when it is a little bit more smaller team can be handled, can become a group, can have training sessions, can have one-to-one sessions, can have feedback sessions. All those things an HR can do with the people, understand the people better, give them what they want, or. So that is something that we did, which helped us in managing our people really well. And that is something which I think every small startup should consider. Even though it can be a part-time HR, that's fine. But
Okay.
someone needs to come on board, who can
Yeah.
really streamline the people-oriented process. Like you can create more processes. What will be the step one? What will be the interview process? What will be the hiring criterias? ये सारे चीज वो HR आके कर सकते हैं फिर. So if you
Make
have the
it
money,
easy
if you're
actually.
bootstrapping, if
Yeah.
you have the money and profitable, so I think you should hire HR.
Okay. Perfect. So let's come to our next question. Like, what roles and responsibilities should be prioritized? Like, a founder at this stage must be having a numerous and a good amount of responsibilities. So, like, what are the responsibilities that person can prioritize, and what are there any cost-effective strategies for acquiring the necessary skills or expertise? Because all we just need to balance it out. So priorities and like what are the cost effective strategies we can talk about.
See, at this stage, priority is everything. I think, when a startup is bootstrapping at the most earliest kind of a stage, priority is going to be everything, right? It is sales, marketing, team building, technology, product. So I think everything, right? So bringing in the revenue, investor outreach, priority is everything. I feel one important out of all these things, the most important priority uh, should be on sales.
Okay.
Okay, very few founders give importance to sales the way it should be. I feel sales and revenue generation is not given much importance in startup ecosystem. But and that is, I think, just the way VCs have really led the culture and the whole ecosystem towards, right? But the most important thing should be prioritized, that is numbers, that is revenue, that is money creation, right? Founders prioritize the product, founders prioritize the technology, they prioritize doing some big bang advertisements and all those stuff. But what if those advertisements cannot be monetized? What if there is no sales generation from those advertising and it's all free
Correct.
users, right? तो उसका कोई
Yeah,
मतलब नहीं है.
exactly.
Okay. So point being that it should be prioritized is sales and revenue, right? Without that, it is going to be very difficult to just sustain. Everything will fall into place if you have sales and revenue. All your other things will fall into place, whether it's product, technology, hiring, marketing, branding, operations, everything will fall into place if you
Definitely.
have
But
the revenue.
yeah, suppose a founder is just maybe doing ads just for branding, just to make that word out. So
Hmm.
at that stage, yeah, revenue, the main agenda for the ads is different at that time. I got your point, like regarding like if you have a revenue generated model and revenue is coming in, so everything is perfectly fine. But what if in the starting, like at the time of bootstrapping, the founder is just starting up. So
जब start कर रहा है तभी से, that's why I'm saying that when he's starting up, his focus and his priorities should be on building sales channels.
Accordingly, he
generating
has
revenue
to,
and
that
sales.
person, yeah, that person should
His
strategize in that
mindset
manner.
has to be, okay, how should I start making money now?
Correct. Strategy should be, revolving around in that manner that sales should be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What
perfectly
happens
now.
is that most of the founders, they invest 100% of the time, effort, money into product and technology development, right? And they don't put anything into sales generation,
Yeah, sometimes they neglect the
revenue
point of
generation.
sales. Yeah. So according to
So
you, like
without that, it's not going to work.
yeah,
That is where sales needs to become the top priority for startup founders.
correct. Definitely, like a founder, and in fact, any businessman cannot neglect that sales perspective. Actually,
Yeah, otherwise the business will not sustain only.
yeah, yeah. Great insights, Devansh, I
And what
must
was your
say.
other question? What was your other question
The other
after
question,
this?
yeah, the other question was about like any cost-effective strategies for acquiring the necessary skills or expertise.
So look, as a founder, I understand all the founders don't have selling skills. They don't have revenue generating skills, right?
Yeah,
Number one is, of course, if you have a partner or a co-founder who is into marketing and sales and who has a good experience, then that will be good. And it all depends on your product category, right? Are you into FMCG? Are you into D2C? Are you into what? Right? Apparel hai, store hai, kya hai? So it all depends on that. Now, if the founder does not have the skill sets, nor he has the co-founder to run at, right? Nor he has the money to hire someone into sales, then he himself needs to learn that thing. Okay.
okay.
By taking various courses, by taking more upskilling courses, offline, online, whatever he wants to take. He needs to learn the art of selling.
Yeah. And with time that
Okay.
that person will be able to, because I believe in this
Yeah.
startup
That
ecosystem
that
with
that
networking, you learn many things.
that yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah,
Today we don't have someone into performance marketing. And today if I have to run advertisement on Facebook and Google, I did Google marketing, Google performance marketing, Google ad course and meta ads course. And today I'm running the ads successfully.
that's
It
great.
takes some time, but then if we want to bootstrap, we don't want to hire someone which does not require that much full-time efforts. Then
Mhm.
it is important for someone to step in from the founding team and to take that charge. So you need to
Exactly.
upskill yourself to make sure that okay, you are in the right ship properly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the way I think a founder should operate or should think basically.
I must say, like by giving a personal, experience, you just gave a very excellent explanation here and a reason of your points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So Devansh, we will be covering more points, like more questions in the next series and the next episode of this series. So I must appreciate, and I actually greatly appreciate your valuable contribution. And obviously, no doubt on that, our audience will be getting a good valuable insights from this session. So let's cover more questions in the upcoming episodes, and we will see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Radhika. Thank you.
Thank you, Devansh.